Hey everyone, today we'll be watching me fill a sketchbook spread of my adventures last year to Loch Venachar up in Scotland. You are free to draw along or have me on in the background, but I hope you enjoy this video. This was a holiday my housemates and I went on to celebrate Christmas together before we all went home to our families for Christmas. And I remember we booked it at a time in our lives when we were all really stressed, and it was just everything we needed, really. Since we were going away for Christmas, we wanted to do a Christmas dinner with each other. The cabin itself didn't have quite all the facilities we needed to cook a Christmas dinner, so we did cook outside as well, to varying success. The potatoes got a little burned. So this was the one thing I did draw whilst I was on holiday, just because I was inspired to draw the floor plan and like different nuggets of information about the place and what made it special to us, but I mostly just wanted to enjoy the holiday itself, you know. And of course you can't take the photographer out of the illustrator, so I took a lot of photos of the cabin and the area surrounding it, and knew that I would probably want to draw from reference later. As you may have seen at the start of the video, we didn't quite get a view over the loch per se, as it was super misty. And we were all joking about it, like, yes, book this place for the great views. The weather. But in the evening, we got this beautiful dusty purple and pinks, which we were only able to enjoy because we went outside to cook our dinner. Otherwise, I think we'd have been like, it's too cold, we're not standing outside, because it was very cold. And I was just enamoured with the mysticism of it all, and just was taking so many photos and was like, I'm definitely painting this. And yeah, it was the first thing I did. The paints I'm using here are my Derwent Graffitint paints, which are old favourites of mine, and also the Choose and Keeping Sumi paints, which my housemate got me for Christmas. And whilst I'm not using them in the Sumi style so much, I really like the colours that they provide, and they really suited the themes and different colours we got from the holiday. So where possible in this whole spread, I try to use the Sumi paints. So I remember looking at the colours and the mist and what it was doing to the wintry trees whilst we were there, and going, I am so excited to paint this, to use this craft together to create this piece. And what's quite interesting is that I actually really like this piece at the stage where I have the background painted and the house, the cabin, completely white. Like, it almost looks like a glitch in a horror comic or something. I wanted to focus on the coziness of it for this sketchbook spread more, but I remember a lot of people saying when I showed them photos, like, it looked kind of creepy, the whole thing together. I'm like, no, it was really cozy, trust me. But I really kind of like how it sort of tells its own story as it gets cozier as I paint more of it. So let's watch this go from something almost quite fantastical and maybe creepy into, hopefully, if I've done my job right, something quite cozy, but maybe still quite mysterious. Who knows? It's up to you. So now we've gone from the outside of the cabin into the interior of the cabin, and right now I'm painting some of the breakfast we had, which were these pastries that kind of come in this rolled up tube, and it's a bit of a do-it-yourself, prepare your breakfast, but most of the hard stuff is already done, and they were always delicious, always exactly what I wanted to wake up to in the morning. And of course, having a delicious hot chocolate in the evenings with marshmallows and these adorable chicken mugs that the cabin had, which anytime I showed my housemates this spread, they would always go, "The chicken mugs!" So yeah, I know which bit they like the best. So the other feature of the cabin, aside from the giant window with the view over the misty loch, was the wood-burning fire. And I remember there was a chair right by the door, and it was like the best chair to sit in because you got the view out the door over the loch, and despite all my joking about all the mist, it did clear up and we did get a really stunning view. But you'd be right by the fire and you'd get that warm coziness hitting you, and you'd add another log to the fire and you just watch the peacefulness of the world go by. And there's a bit of a style jump between this clip and the next clip, and that's because in between those clips being recorded, we went to Scotland again, and we went to Edinburgh this time, and some of that adventure will be recorded and put on another video, so you can look forward to that. In the meantime, let's watch this cosy fireplace get painted. And here is the warm interior painted. Coming up is a time lapse of the view from the window, just so you can get an idea of what it was like to just be in the cabin and how absolutely gorgeous it was. Sadly, as you may have seen, the time-lapse device I was using decided to kind of overcorrect itself and just completely mess up the horizon line, which did no one any favours. If it just stayed how I'd set it up, it would have been fine. But anyway, you get an idea of what it was like. And so what I'm doing on this page is I'm painting some of the birds we saw. For the most part, for this whole spread, I've kept it around the cabin itself and like the views. The only thing that is actually further out from the cabin is the buzzard we saw, which we actually saw on the drive home, and like we were so excited because it was just absolutely huge and it was just the coolest thing ever. But we saw the coultit and the grebe. In fact, we saw many grebes like by the cabin and by the loch, and it was just really nice to just be able to just see birds we don't usually see where we are in our part of the country, just existing and being so commonplace on this holiday, especially since I have housemates who absolutely love bird watching and love spotting different birds. And now I'm painting some of the straight up quartz my housemate found around the loch side, which, I don't know, I just found really cool. And yeah, we still have it, and it's part of our little collection now. So here's the first painting I've done in this spread of a view out of the cabin. I could have basically filled a whole page with views out of the cabin, and I still might, because despite the fact that we basically had a lot of cold mist and overcast weather whilst we stayed there, it was still incredibly changeable, as you may have noticed from the time lapse. And I believe I called this in one of the mornings, where there was just this beautiful blue haze over the view and we could still see the other side of the loch. And half an hour later it completely changed again, and that was something, you know, that attracted us to the place we were staying, and something that was always important for me to try and get in the sketchbook spread. And just really great that I was able to fill it with stuff entirely from one location basically, and just see so much changeability in one place. Like, we did go out for walks and we did go and try and explore the local area, but we could have just spent the whole time in the cabin and it would have been absolutely enough. It was absolutely beautiful. What's nice again is obviously I got to just sit and watch the view, and I did obviously take photos of it, but each time I was so excited to go. I can't wait to paint this. I can't wait to interpret this in my sketchbook or on a canvas and just play with watercolour and play with the colours that nature gives us. And yeah, really grateful that I'm able to do a spread like this. So we have the final piece in the spread, which is another view out over the loch, but this time we can see more of the natural colours and sort of it's less dictated by the colour of the sky, the colour of the mist, and this time it's more about the colour and the reflection of the view the other side of the loch. And it was really nice to be able to see this, even though we obviously got a lot out of how beautiful and almost fantastical the mist made it all. I'm really glad we were able to get that proper view out over the loch. So enjoy this final piece, and I'll see you at the end. And here we are with the full spread. I hope you like it, and I hope you enjoyed watching it being created. I had a really nice moment where I realised how often I've been able to travel despite everything going on in the world, and how each time I've actually created a sketchbook spread about my adventures, and it's been really nice to see how my style has developed through it all, and you know, how this might be something for me to pursue in the future, and I'd like to be able to share that with you all. And if you want to see more of that and share some of that with me, I have my social medias linked in the description, as well as my Ko-fi, where you can donate and help me create more art like this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked, leave a like. If you have something to say about it, then please leave a comment. Otherwise, have an excellent day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.